Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Comics Pals Image Reviews. I'm your host, Sean, joined by Cale.
It's me.
And Marco.
It's also me.
Wow. And I'm also me.
Oh, thank God.
We're here to talk today about two of Image's biggest releases this week. First up is What's the Furthest Place from Here? The new book, the biggest book of all time that we just can't stop hearing about, by Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg and Hassan Otsman-Elhaou. And then we're also going to be talking about Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 2, by Rick Remender and Andre Lima Arujo, with Chris O'Halloran and Russ Wooten. Image Comics provides us with their books every single week early so that we can put these reviews out for you guys day and date. We're very grateful for that. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we do over here. If you do, a great way to support us is to leave us a follow, a rating, and a review wherever you listen to this podcast. YouTube.com/The Comics Pals if you want to subscribe to our channel, which we recommend because there's lots of cool content over there, including our interviews from New York Comic Con, one of which from a couple of years back is with one Matthew Rosenberg himself. So go check that out. Listen to our review of the Eternals film, the book club as well, the Neil Gaiman Jr. Run that they did. And check out our main show, The Comics Pals, where if you leave comments here, you will get a response on that show. We do that. It drops every single Monday where you can hear us talk about the characters that you love and all the places you can find them. With that out of the way, let's talk about What's the Furthest Place from Here. That's the longest title for a comic book that I've ever seen. Well, We Only Find Them When They're Dead is also super long. And I feel like we're just in this age of long comic book names. But much touted, highly hyped book from a creative team that has done some things that people have really loved. Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg, of 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank fame.
Yep.
I'm on record as not having loved that book. I thought it was okay. So I wasn't sure what to expect coming into this. I really like Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss separately, but together I haven't necessarily loved what I've read. I like this.
I think I did. I found it kind of annoying.
It felt a little, I didn't dislike it. I don't know that I was hooked. I think it all sounds like we're coming in a little hesitant to it. Like wasn't sure what to make of it, even in this first issue, and it was a longer sized issue, and I still wasn't like, I don't know that I get what's going on necessarily. Am I interested? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, so I think that the actual content of the book is all done very competently. Like, both of these are creators who are very, very good at what they do. And clearly for their audience, when they come together, it's magical, right? Like, people really, really love their collaborations. So it's hard to argue with that. And even the premise is interesting. Like, these kids are basically like living in a post-apocalyptic world where only kids basically live there. And then once you age out of that, you got to go somewhere else. That's all we kind of know for now. And that's compelling. And then there's, go ahead.
Were the people in the suits and ties, were they not adults?
I thought they were other kids as well.
There are other kids. The adults are the weird
people.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were other adults.
Yeah, these are all like different factions of children.
Right. Okay.
Which again, I liked. It kind of reminds me of like what's that movie called where it takes place in like New York, Coney Island.
Lost Boys?
No, The Warriors.
The Warriors, Warriors. It kind of reminded me of The Warriors, which I think is pretty cool. It's a cool vibe. Cool. And there's like a whole musical element to the book as well. For those of you who are unfamiliar, they're like really trying to make sure that they hammer home that, music is like directly connected to the experience of youth. And so, the main group of kids, their home base or whatever is like in a record store or something like that. And so, they're selling music alongside this. They have bands that are putting together an album for this comic book, which is amazing. I love that as a concept.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did the musicalness of it come through for you in this?
No.
Yeah, me either.
And that's one of the things that I was like, I wasn't so clear about with this first issue. Like, what are we supposed to get out of this? Do you need the album in order for it to work? Because I didn't listen to this with music going on, which is abnormal for me, but I just didn't. But I didn't get any musical element out of this, really.
You need a specific soundtrack to connect it. Like, I don't think it needs it, but the end commentary, the interview at the very end, they make this big deal about it, but I read that and went, I don't get it. Like, I get the connection to music and youth and stuff like that. That makes sense. I'm not completely heartless. I was young once a long time ago, but
eternally ago.
But this book didn't connect to me that way.
When I think of inputting music into a comic, I usually think of Alesh Kott, and he did a book called Material, where he has footnotes that will be like, as you're reading this page, play this song at this moment, at this like there's a deeper integration, like an actual mechanical integration into what it is, versus just like an allusion to the albums and the artists that are referenced here.
Ron V's doing something like that too, isn't he?
Well, Blue and Green, the trade, yeah.
Well, he has a new one that's coming out from Boom, I think. He has a new book coming out that's going to be like directly tied to. He's going to have a track list, and like he's going to put stuff together.
That's cool. I think that there is an integration between music and comics. There's a lot of cross-pollination in terms of audiences and things like that, and I think all that's true. But just evaluating like the musicality of the book, that didn't come across. And it's just issue 1, so we'll see. But I guess for me, I wanted to connect to the characters, but there were so many that we were introduced to up front, and like obviously you have to introduce the concept, the world, all this stuff at the same time, that it was a little difficult to connect to any one thing. And this is an oversized issue. It's got a lot of pages to it, but I didn't think it was quite enough for me to kind of jump in on all these characters up front. I think I like Sid, I believe that's the name of the pregnant girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And so her I liked.
She was fine. Yeah, I didn't particularly feel connected to really anyone. I found Alabama. I found her to be kind of an annoying asshole. And everybody else just felt kind of helpless.
They're just kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anybody like popped. It doesn't feel like anybody here is going to be, at least as it stands outside of Sid, is going to be like our main POV or driving character. Yeah. She's the one that got away and is presumably going someplace and on whatever mission. So I'm sure we'll bounce between her and then back to the ensemble, maybe trying to like rescue her. But otherwise, like even within that, nobody is like, oh, this is the leader, or this is this character, or this is that character. You just there wasn't a lot given.
What did you guys think about the chapter break strategy?
That's the thing I found the most annoying. Because it felt unnecessary.
Yeah.
Especially like the way it's used, like every couple of pages is a chapter break. It's like, okay, well, what is this accomplishing?
And you're using that real estate. You're essentially getting rid of 7 pages.
Yeah.
I'm generally not a fan of chapter breaks. I don't feel like they add a lot to comics. I think I have read some where it worked out, but as a rule, as a concept, I'm not that interested in it. I don't know if they were maybe trying to do it like, how an album has different songs, that are separated by, those breaks. Maybe they were going for that.
Okay.
I could see that. But it does feel like, to Marco's point, this is an issue one where I would have loved to have spent a little bit more time with pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
And when you give away those pages for those chapter breaks, it's hard for me not to think, well, you could have used this real estate a little bit better.
Yeah, agreed.
But even with all that said, I don't want to talk down about the book. Like, it's weird because even though we're saying all these things, I still had a fine time reading it. Like, I don't think, as I said at the top, I think it was very competently made.
Yeah. It definitely had enough that if I had this collected, I certainly wouldn't stop.
Right.
Okay.
I'm like, it's not blowing me away. I'm gonna pick it up, single issues or whatever. But based on the creator's pedigree, I know that eventually it probably will go to something I like.
There's momentum here, and I think I can feel that, but there isn't something that feels like it'll bring me back to want to join back into that momentum, like that groove. He has something going here, and I feel like this would have been this introduction. I think had it been, like a bit longer, had we been reading 2 issues, or this was maybe even like a James Herron Ultra Mega 60-page situation, and we really like got into a groove on this, and then I would have probably enjoyed it a bit more. But where it ends, what we get from these characters, it's not immediately enticing. It's still intriguing because I'm interested in, like, the world looks cool, but I don't know. I would have liked that train of thought to continue.
I think that's a good point. Like, I'm not sure that I'm so invested that, the cliffhanger is making me need to come back for more. If there had been more pages, I would have been happy to read them. But, now I got to wait till next month and, stuff like that. I'm like, do I want to? And I think I do. Probably more for the promise of good and things improving because of the creative team, which is probably similar to how I feel about the next book that we're going to talk about. But,
Yeah.
they're both so good, Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, that whatever I think about this first issue, because I don't think it's bad, right? So if I think it's even solid, then it's probably worth reading the next one, because likely it will improve as we go forward. So I'm giving the creative team a lot of grace because they've earned it as creators. So I do want to point out some things that I liked. One of the things that I really liked is, it's a small, nothing moment, but there's a scene where 2 characters are speaking, and there's like a whole drama unfolding in front of them. That's like,
that was cool.
Yeah, this couple kissing, and then this other dude's throwing up. Like, people that are not a part of the conversation at all are just having other things happening. I thought that was really cool and funny.
That's something that Boss does in Dead Dog's Bite, which is his previous the previous series that he did before this.
Yeah.
And he's been experimenting with some of that, like, simultaneous action. So it's cool to see it executed here and work in a pretty effective way. Like, I'm glad that you had called that out, because that's something he's been doing and in that most recent book.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Then there was also a scene where Sid and the kid with the mohawk, whose name I can't recall at the moment, they're having a conversation, and then the camera perspective changes to over top. I thought that was pretty cool moment. You don't see that too much in comics, so I really like that.
In this book, anyway, I don't remember if it was for the other one. Tyler Boss's style feels very like is it the Hernandez brothers, the Love and Rockets guys?
Okay, yeah, yes. I think like that alt comics look, like
Yeah.
particularly I think
Yeah.
in the inking.
Yeah,
I'm
real thick inks, kind of sort of minimalist character features, I guess.
One of the places where I saw it the most was on this page. What is this? Page 54, where Alabama's yelling at Oberon, and like in the bottom, he's over here and he just has like these inks about his legs and his pants. And for some reason, that reminded me of just like some like underground sort of stylings.
Yeah.
The
Art's
other thing,
solid.
the other thing I wanted to point out was the lettering, actually, which, a lot of times I feel like you only notice when lettering is bad because good lettering kind of falls into the background. But I think this was a book where the good lettering was actually a part of the story and kind of came into the foreground, because there were some cool moments, like when characters would, to express a character speaking over another, O'Halloran would, not O'Halloran, sorry, El Howe would put a dialogue bubble over another.
Yeah.
God, he's a tremendous letterer.
Yeah,
He's so really fucking good.
And other comics have obviously used that, but I thought it was particularly effective in this one. And I just think that that's a way to add character to a book when you can do something interesting with the lettering.
Sorry, go ahead.
I also think it sort of adds an order.
Yeah.
Like a reading order that I think is really effective.
Yeah.
One of the things he does with like sound effects is if you turn that same moment that you called out, Sean, there's a moment where somebody's knocking on the door and you see two consistent like knock 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 knock, and then once like you get the gist of it, the third one comes, but it's only on the door and it's out of the way, and because you're like, this is still going on in the background, but this is the conversation that's happening at the moment, and it's been placed there, so it's not like it's still going on, but it's not like the focus, or you're not calling as much attention to it. That was a cool way to distinguish it. It's on page 16.
Yeah, completely agreed. So again, like, everybody who has a job in this book did their job well. And so what can you really say to that? Like, we just need more, I think. I think I just need more. I would say pull it, with the consideration that I'm investing in the creative team and their strengths more than what is actually presented in the first issue.
Okay. Are you gonna stay, and you're sticking around for that?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read the second, because I think they'll probably get better, and that'll give me a better idea of what I think about the series, is how the second issue goes. How about you?
I don't know. I don't think I've read anything else of Matthew Rosenberg's outside of Four Kids Walk Into a Bank and maybe like some random X-Men issues here or there. And he's not a writer that like I have to pick up or like really lights a fire for me. So I might wait for the buzz on this one, see what you say or something, and see if it's worth picking up.
I think that's reasonable. I definitely think that's reasonable. Let's talk about a book that Cale and I had very similar feelings about the first time we reviewed it, with issue 1, which was a righteous thirst for vengeance. Let's talk about issue 2 again. Rick Remender, Andre Lima Arujo, Chris O'Halloran, and Russ Wooten. That's the creative team on this one. It picks up hours later, as the first panel tells us, from where issue 1 left off, where our main character has kind of realized, like, oh shoot, the killer was someone I saw. Like, I ran into this dude. So now he's like back at his house and stuff, and just trying to figure out what all's going on. It features probably the same amount of dialogue as the first issue, that is to say, very, very, very little. And so you're really relying on the art to tell the story here for the most part, which is fine. I am still not really that connected. I'm struggling here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I listened to the review that you guys did before I actually read the first issue. And so when I did end up reading it, I agreed with a lot in terms of the way that the art carries the story, and there's a lot of sparse uh like actual dialogue, and it's, for some reason it feels like not, there's no urgency in it, and these are moments that are should be filled with that urgency, like somebody that just got killed, and yes, we saw like the emotional aspect of that, but I think the lack of wording, especially in this issue, and to be fair, he doesn't have anybody to really bounce off of,
Yeah.
but um it feels like there's, like he's just going through the motion of something, and it's only when he says like Jesus Christ on something that I'm like, oh, so okay, so something is serious about this person and what's going on here. And but otherwise he's just kind of going through emotion, and I don't know that that was effective, that I was gripping storytelling or engaging storytelling.
Yeah, there's a scene where he's with his mother, and there's some dialogue there, and again it's really sparse. Remender is doing something different. He admitted to that he wanted to try something different with this book. And everything is fine. Like that was an okay scene, but I don't care right now. I'm struggling to find the care in the second issue of a book where that was my problem in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotta hook me on an emotional level, and that just hasn't happened. What reason do I have to give a damn about this guy?
Yeah. I think my feelings for this are still similar to the first one. This feels like storyboards.
Yeah.
I just there's not enough here. Arujo's work is really good, and it's very effective. But like, I don't feel anything for anybody.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest. I'm not even sure what happened at the end.
I don't think anything's happened yet.
But like,
go ahead. I'm not even sure what the situation is. Like what's his role in this? Are they gonna is it like a contractor, hit list kind of a thing, or it just doesn't, nothing is clear. And I don't mean that in like, yeah, obviously there's a mystery unfolding or whatever, but like none of the things that we've been given make sense.
Like, is it the case that the Neva Romero, right? Neva Romero, she's a contractor, or rather she's an operator, or someone they're contracted to kill?
She's somebody that they're contracted to kill. Like, she's the job.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, he was, I guess, part of this network or this organization, and so that's why he has access to this stuff, or presumably he still is.
Right.
We don't know. And so I guess the operator is Mayor Oak, which I'm guessing is the person,
the other guy at the end.
Yeah, right. Who like maybe put the hit on, and that's what he wants to find out, like why they sent some other person or some other operator, the Blue Jackal, and I guess maybe he wants to know who the Jackal is and where to find him.
And so this is one of those moments where I have to ask myself, am I just like not reading this closely enough, or is this not being, is the point not being made well enough on the part of the creators? Because I'm not sure that what you just said is correct, Marco, but I'm not sure it's not.
Like it makes sense, but like
because no one's saying anything,
Yeah.
I don't know. So like we got some feedback on the last review from people who kind of said like, there's a purpose behind all this, and Rick Remender is doing something really cool. He's inspired by this, that, and the other thing. And I'm down for all of that. I just feel like if you're not going to use dialogue, if dialogue is going to be sparse and there's not going to be any type of internal monologue, then what you get across, the information I need to know, has to be explicitly made clear in no uncertain terms. And I'm not sure that I feel that way.
Yeah.
So that's a knock. It has to be. So yeah, with this series, it's just not connecting with me. It's just not.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say. Like, I've never felt this way about a Rick Remender joint before. I love every single thing he's done, but I can't find myself in this. And that's okay.
And kudos to him for trying something else. Like,
yeah.
No knock on that, but like if I'm not it's funny because when we did the Low book club, I'm like, this convinced me that anything that he puts out now, I need to pick up. And this was literally the next thing that he put out after we did that book club that I'm like, oh, I need to get it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You had me for Low, but like, I don't know if this is the joint for me.
You would get into Tokyo Ghost, probably.
I have it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good as shit.
Okay.
That is some good ass shit. Yeah.
I have that.
So yeah, I really don't have much else to say. The art is great. The colors are great. This is a really, really, really good looking book. It's actually probably one of the best looking books on the stands right now. But the story just isn't living up to that at the current moment for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I can't say that there's a great reason to continue pulling this. So I would probably say drop it, but I will continue to pull it personally because it's Rick Remender. There's nothing he can do that I won't buy. It's just where we're at. Yeah. So I'm gonna ride this out.
I'd drop this. It's not connecting.
Cale?
I wouldn't have picked it up in the first place, to be honest.
All right.
Like I like Rick Remender, but I mean, he's not a writer I go out of my way for necessarily.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our conversation about these two books. Let us know your thoughts. Unfortunately, we were kind of lukewarm on them both, but it's certainly no shade at the creators involved. They're creators we all have a lot of respect for. So, and frankly, based on last month, you guys liked Righteous Thirst, and we were wrong, according to you. So if you still feel that way, write in. If you think this issue improved on what we pointed out last time, write in and let us know your thoughts. And I'm really curious about what we spoke about with What's the Furthest Place and the music aspect. What did you listen to while you were reading this? And did the musicality, the musical additions of it add anything to it for you? Write to us at thecomicspals@gmail.com. Leave a comment on our on the YouTube video you're watching now, youtube.com/thecomicspals, or in the comment section of any podcast hosting platform that you're using right now. There's plenty of ways to get at us. Listen to our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday. Listen to our reviews of all the other comics tomorrow, Thursday, the Marvel, DC, whatever we get into this week. And check out our review of something we were probably a lot colder on, maybe Eternals. I still don't know how I feel about that darn movie. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Image for granting us access to these books. Until next week, take care, guys.
See ya.